The transport ship docked at Station Helix 9 with a soft hiss. Inside, 47 human recruits waited in their seats. Some were nervous. Some were excited. One was completely still. Her name was. She was 23 years old, Korean, with black hair cut short and simple clothes that matched the other recruits. There was nothing special about her appearance. She was not tall or short. She was not beautiful or ugly. She was the kind of person your eyes would pass over in a crowd. The doors opened. Bright light flooded the transport. An alien voice spoke through the speakers in broken but clear English. Welcome to the Unified Species Military Academy. You are the humans to receive this honor. Follow the marked path to processing. The recruits stood up and walked forward. They whispered to each other. They pointed at the strange architecture of the station. They gasped at the windows showing the endless stars outside. Walked with them, she did not whisper. She did not point, she did not gasp. The processing center was a large room filled with aliens of many species. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had bodies that seemed to be made of light itself. They sat behind desks and held electronic tablets, ready to record information about each new human. A tall creature with 4 arms and blue skin called forward. Its voice was deep but kind. Name, she said. Family name. None. The alien paused. This was unusual, but it typed the information anyway. Previous military experience. None. Special skills. None. The alien looked at her for a long moment. Her face showed nothing. Her eyes were calm, too calm, perhaps. Purpose for joining the academy. Was silent for 3 seconds. Then she said to serve. The alien finished her registration and handed her a badge. Proceed to medical examination. Building 7. Took the badge. She walked away without another word. The alien watched her go, feeling something strange. It could not name the feeling. It went back to work and forgot about her. In Building 7, doctors ran tests on all the new recruits. Blood samples, brain scans, physical measurements. When they tested, everything came back normal. Perfectly, exactly normal. So normal that one doctor frowned at his screen for a moment before shrugging and moving on. The recruits were assigned to sleeping quarters, 8 people per room. This room contained 7 other humans. They introduced themselves loudly, happy to make new friends. A young man with a bright smile approached Bunk. His name was. He was 25 tall and he laughed easily. Hey there, what's your name? Looked at him. Nice to meet you. Where are you from? I'm from beautiful city. Have you ever been? The beaches are amazing, especially in summer. Did not answer. She simply nodded once. Waited for more. More did not come. He laughed awkwardly. Okay, well, I guess you're tired from the trip. We all are. I'll let you rest. But hey, we're roommates now. We should look out for each other, right? Another nod, nothing else. Returned to his own bunk, feeling confused. He had met shy people before, but this felt different. He could not explain how. Across the room, a woman named watched the exchange with narrow eyes. She was 24, sharp-tongued, and trusted no one easily. She had noticed during the transport. While everyone else had moved and talked and breathed normally, had sat like a statue. Decided to keep watching. The next day, training began. The academy taught combat, strategy, diplomacy, and technology. Humans were new to the galactic community, and they had much to learn. The first session was combat assessment. Commander, a massive creature with clicking mandibles, stood before the recruits. Today we learn what you can do, not what you think you can do, what you actually can do. Step into the arena when called. Fight the training drone. We will measure everything. One by one, the recruits entered the arena. Some did well. Some did poorly. Most fell somewhere in the middle. When was called, she walked forward without hesitation. The training drone activated. It was a floating machine with padded arms designed to test reflexes and combat ability. The drone attacked, blocked, she struck back. She moved in simple patterns, never fancy, never impressive. She scored exactly in the middle range. Not good, not bad, forgettable. Commander made a note on his tablet and called the next recruit. But something bothered him. He could not say what. The feeling faded and he continued his work. Days passed, then weeks. The recruits settled into routines. They made friends and enemies. They struggled and improved. Did none of these things. She attended every class. She completed every assignment. She scored exactly average on every test. She ate her meals at the same time each day, always the same amount of food, always finishing at the same moment. And she never spoke unless absolutely required. Kept trying to befriend her. He sat with her at meals. He told her about his family, his dreams, his fears. He asked her questions she never answered, but he did not give up. "I know you can talk," he said one evening. "I heard you during processing, so why don't you?" Looked at him. Her eyes were deep and dark, like looking into water at night. She did not answer. Meanwhile, had started keeping notes. She tracked movements, her patterns, her strange behaviors. She noticed that never slept more than 2 hours per night. She noticed that sometimes stood perfectly still for hours, eyes open, staring at nothing. One night woke at 3 in the morning. His bunk was empty, followed silently, keeping to the shadows. She found in the training hall. The hall was empty and dark, stood in the center completely motionless. Watched for 10 minutes, did not move, not even a little. Her breathing was so shallow it was almost invisible. Then turned her head. She looked directly at the dark corner where was hiding. His heart stopped. She was certain she had made no sound. She was certain she could not be seen. But looked right at her. After 3 seconds, turned away. She walked out of the hall through a different exit, leaving frozen in the darkness. The next morning, checked the academy's security system. She found the footage from the training hall. She watched it 3 times. Had stood there for 3 hours, not 3 minutes, 3 hours without moving, without sitting, without closing her eyes. Reported to the academy's psychological evaluation system. The AI analyzed the footage and behavioral data. It produced a simple message. Anomalous stress response patterns detected. Subject shows no normal emotional fluctuation. Recommend monitoring. The message was sent to Commander. He read it, clicked his mandibles in annoyance, and filed it away. Humans were always strange. This one was just stranger than most. He had thousands of recruits to manage. He could not worry about one quiet girl. In her bunk that night, lay on her back, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Around her, 7 other humans slept and dreamed. Did not dream. She had not dreamed in 7 years. Instead, she listened. She listened to the heartbeats of her roommates. She listened to the hum of the station's engines. She listened to footsteps 3 corridors away and conversations happening in rooms she had never entered. She heard Commander dismiss the warning about her. Good. She was not ready yet. She needed more time, more observation, more understanding of how this place worked and who these people were. The thing that was coming would not wait forever, but it would wait long enough. Closed her eyes, not to sleep, just to focus. 19 months remained. She had counted every second since she arrived. The countdown continued in her mind, steady as a heartbeat, patient as the stars. She would be ready when the time came. She had no other choice. 8 weeks had passed since the new recruits arrived at Station Helix 9. The academy had become home. The aliens had become familiar. The training had become routine. But had not become anything. She existed on the edges of everything, present but never participating, seen but never noticed. Had not given up on her. Every morning he greeted her. Every meal he sat beside her. Every evening he shared stories from his day. She never responded with words, but sometimes she nodded. Sometimes she almost seemed to listen. He told himself that was enough. "You know what I miss most about Earth," he said one lunch period, pushing food around his plate. "Rain, real rain, not the recycled water they spray in the environmental chambers here. I miss standing outside and feeling it hit my face." Continued eating. Same portions as always, same pace as always. "My mother used to say rain was the sky crying. When I was little, I would ask why the sky was sad. She said it wasn't sad. It was just letting go of things it had held too long." For a moment, just a moment, his hand paused over her food. Then it continued moving. He always noticed the small things with her. They were all he had. Across the dining hall watched them both. She had continued her observations. Her notebook was filling with data points, sleep patterns, movement patterns, reaction times. Everything about was precise, too precise. Had tried to share her concerns with other recruits. They had laughed at her. "She's just quiet," they said. "Some people are like that." "She's weird, sure," they admitted, "but weird isn't dangerous." Was not convinced. A new instructor had joined the academy that week. His name was, and he was human. 35 years old, former Special Forces on Earth, now embedded with the alien faculty to help train human recruits. Had seen many things in his life. He had fought in wars. He had watched friends die. He had killed enemies who deserved it and some who perhaps did not. His eyes carried the weight of all these experiences. On his first day, he observed all the human recruits during combat training. Most impressed him. Some disappointed him. One confused him. Moved through the exercises like everyone else. Her scores were average. Her technique was standard, but something was wrong. Had trained soldiers for 15 years. He knew how bodies moved. He knew how muscles tensed before action, how eyes tracked targets, how breathing changed under stress. His body did none of these things. She moved like a machine pretending to be human. Every motion was calculated, precise, and somehow empty. He made a note to watch her more closely. The opportunity came 3 days later. A squad-based combat simulation. Teams of 5 recruits against AI-controlled enemies in a maze-like arena. His team included 2 other recruits named Minyu and a nervous young man named who had been selected as team leader. The simulation began. The team moved through the corridors following his commands. He was not a natural leader. His voice shook. His decisions came slowly. They reached a junction, chose left. It was the wrong choice. Enemy drones appeared from 3 directions at once. Ambush. The team scrambled for cover, froze, unable to process the sudden chaos. Minyu shouted for orders, returned fire blindly, tried to pull to safety. Did something else. Without a word, without a sound, she took 3 steps to the left. Her position made no sense to anyone watching. There was no cover there. She was exposed. Then she raised her weapon and fired twice. 2 shots, 2 drones destroyed. The 3rd drone was behind her, out of her sight line. Impossible for her to know it was there. She spun and fired once more. The 3rd drone exploded. The simulation ended. Victory. The team stood in shocked silence, lowered her weapon and returned to her original position as if nothing had happened. "How did you do that?" Minyu asked, his voice high with disbelief. Did not answer. "She couldn't see that last drone," said. "I was watching. She couldn't possibly see it." Did not answer. Looked at her with new eyes. He had always known she was different, but this was something more. In the observation room, instructor rewound the footage. He watched it again, then a 4th time. Its reaction time from the moment the ambush began to her first shot was 0.03 seconds. The human average was 0.25 seconds. Elite soldiers might achieve 0.15 seconds on their best day. 0.03 seconds was not human. He ran her footage through analysis software. The program was designed to identify combat techniques and fighting styles. It compared her movements to thousands of known martial disciplines from across the galaxy. No match found. But the program offered another comparison. It matched her positioning to something called optimal theoretical combat placement. This was a concept that existed only in research papers, mathematical models of perfect combat behavior. No living being had ever achieved it because it required processing information faster than any brain could manage. Had achieved it without trying. Sat back in his chair, he was not afraid. He was too experienced for fear, but he was deeply, profoundly unsettled. He requested its full file from the Academy database. What he received was thin, too thin. Name, age 23, origin Earth Korea, family none listed, education basic standard, medical normal, psychological no flags except the anomalous stress response note from week 1. There should have been more. Every recruit had stories, histories, connections, had almost nothing. Brought his findings to Commander. The listened with clicking mandibles. "You believe this human is hiding something," said. "I believe this human is something we don't understand," replied. Considered this. He had dismissed the earlier warning as human strangeness, but was human. If he saw something unusual in another human, perhaps it was worth attention. "What do you recommend?" "Increased monitoring, test her limits carefully, see what she does when pushed." Agreed. New sensors were placed in quarters, the training halls, and the corridors she walked most often. Everything was recorded. Everything was analyzed. Noticed immediately. She did not change her behavior. She continued her routines exactly as before. But she knew. She had known the moment the first sensor was activated. She had felt the tiny change in electrical current, heard the soft hum of the recording devices. They were watching her now. That was fine. She had expected this. She had planned for it. She simply needed to be more careful about what she showed them. 1 week later, made a decision. She approached after training, her notebook in hand. "Instructor, I need to show you something." Looked at her with interest. Was a good recruit. Smart. Observant. Perhaps too suspicious for her own good, but those instincts had value. "What is it?" Opened her notebook. Pages of data, charts, timelines, observations. "Recruit, I've been watching her since we arrived. Something is wrong with her." Took the notebook. He read through it slowly. His expression did not change, but his interest grew with every page. "You've done thorough work," he said. "I know everyone thinks I'm paranoid, but look at the patterns. No one is this consistent. No one sleeps 2 hours a night and functions normally. No one stands still for 3 hours in the dark." Nodded. "I've seen some of this myself." His eyes widened. "Then you believe me?" "I believe something unusual is happening. I don't know what it is yet." He handed the notebook back. "Keep watching, keep recording, but be careful. If she knows you're following her, she might react, and we don't know what that reaction might look like." Felt a chill run through her. She had not considered that possibility. That night she lay awake in her bunk, listening to the breathing of her roommates. His bunk was occupied for once. She appeared to be sleeping. But knew better now. Did not sleep like others. She did not dream. She simply lay there with her eyes closed, processing, waiting, existing in some state between wakefulness and rest that no normal human could achieve. "What are you?" thought, staring at the motionless form across the room. "What are you really?" His eyes opened. She looked directly at through the darkness. His breath caught in her throat. She could not move. She could not look away. 3 seconds passed, an eternity. Then closed her eyes again, and the moment ended. Did not sleep that night. She did not sleep well for many nights after. But she kept watching. She had to know the truth. The truth was closer than any of them realized, and it was far more terrifying than they could imagine. Week 12. A secret meeting was held in the deepest part of Station Helix 9. The room was small and cold. Screens covered every wall, showing data, footage, and analysis. Commander stood at the center, his body casting strange shadows in the blue light. Instructor stood beside him, arms crossed, face grim. 3 other figures were present. Doctor, the Academy's head psychologist, a Korean woman in her 40s with tired eyes. Admiral Park, a decorated human officer and one of the few humans to reach high rank in the Galactic Concord. And finally, a representative of the hegemony species, an ancient alien race that had been part of the Concord since its founding. The hegemony representative had no name that humans could pronounce. They simply called him Observer. His body was tall and thin, wrapped in robes that hid most of his features. Only his eyes were visible, large and golden, watching everything. "Show them," said. Activated the screens. Footage played. In the combat simulation, standing motionless in the training hall, looking directly at hidden cameras she should not have known existed. Her reaction time is 0.03 seconds, explained. Her combat positioning matches theoretical perfect placement. She sleeps 2 hours per night. She has not shown a single normal emotional response since arriving. Admiral Park leaned forward. Is she augmented, cybernetics, genetic modification? Medical scans show nothing. She appears completely human at the cellular level. Doctor spoke next. I have analyzed her psychological profile extensively. There are no signs of trauma, mental illness, or conditioning. But there are also no signs of normal human psychology. No fear responses. No stress hormones. No dreams during sleep. It is as if someone removed everything that makes a human emotionally alive and left only the mechanics. The observer remained silent, but his golden eyes had not left the screens. Admiral Park made a decision. We need to know what she can really do, design tests, push her, find her limits. That could be dangerous, Doctor warned. Not knowing is more dangerous. If she's a weapon, we need to know who built her and why. If she's something else, we need to understand what. Nodded, I will design the tests personally. Over the next 3 days, the Academy prepared. The tests would be disguised as routine training exercises, would not know she was being evaluated. At least, that was the hope. The first test was an obstacle course. All recruits ran it regularly, but had modified its run. Hidden within the course was an impossible segment, a wall too high, a gap too wide, a timer too short. The mathematics were clear. No human could complete it. Entered the course at her scheduled time. She ran, she climbed, she jumped. She reached the impossible segment. And she found a solution no one had considered. She did not try to climb the wall or jump the gap. Instead, she calculated angles in her head, used the walls themselves as leverage, and moved through the segment in a way that technically broke no rules but should have been physically impossible. She completed the course. Her time was average. In the observation room, mandibles clicked rapidly. She knew we changed it, and she found a way through without revealing her true abilities. She's hiding, agreed. She's been hiding since she arrived. The second test was a diplomatic simulation. Recruits were placed in scenarios where they had to negotiate with hostile aliens. Most recruits struggled. Language barriers, cultural differences, and alien psychology made it extremely difficult. Entered the simulation chamber. The scenario began. She faced a holographic alien, angry and threatening. It spoke in its own language. The translation software was supposed to help, but it had been deliberately set to malfunction. Listened to the alien speak. She tilted her head slightly, the first visible sign of interest anyone had seen from her. Then she spoke. Not in English, not in Korean, not in any language the translation software recognized. She spoke 3 words in a language that made the observer suddenly stand up, his golden eyes wide with something that might have been fear. The holographic alien paused. The simulation had not been programmed to respond to that language. It should not have been possible for a human to know it. The alien bowed deeply and stepped aside. The simulation registered this as a successful negotiation. Test complete. Silence filled the observation room. Admiral Park turned to the observer. What language was that? The observer's voice was quiet, ancient. It was the high tongue of my ancestors. It has not been spoken in 10,000 years. Our species itself has forgotten most of it. There are perhaps 3 living beings in the galaxy who know those words. What did she say? The observer did not answer. He simply stared at the screen where stood waiting. What did she say? Park demanded. She said, "The old ways remember." It is a phrase from our most sacred texts, a greeting used only between those who have seen the truth beyond the stars. No one knew what to say. The third test was combat. 4 elite instructors, the best fighters in the academy, were authorized to use real force, padded weapons that could bruise and break. Was told it was an advanced training exercise. She entered the arena. The 4 instructors surrounded her. They were twice her size, trained for decades, armed and ready. The signal was given. 11 seconds later, all 4 instructors were on the ground, disarmed, pinned in positions they could not escape. None of them were injured, had been precise. She had used exactly enough force to disable, not a single ounce more. She stood in the center of the arena, breathing normally, waiting for further instructions. The observation room was silent for a long time. Enough tests, Admiral Park said. I need to talk to her. Doctor was sent to bring to a private room. It was designed to look comfortable, but cameras and sensors covered every surface. Nothing would be missed. Sat in a chair. Doctor sat across from her. The others watched through one-way glass. Hello, began, keeping her voice gentle. Do you know why you're here? Looked at her, looked through her. You have questions. It was the most she had spoken to anyone in weeks. Tried not to show her surprise. Yes, we have many questions. You've performed remarkably in recent tests, things that should not be possible for a human. Many things are possible. How did you know that language? The one you spoke in the diplomatic simulation. Was quiet for a moment. I learned it. From where? There are no records of that language in any human database. There are many things not in human databases. Leaned forward, her professional calm was cracking. What are you? Are you human? I was born human. I remain human. Then how do you do these things? How do you know things you shouldn't know? How do you fight like no human can fight? Looked at her for a long time. Something shifted in her eyes. A decision being made. I am what humanity needed to become to survive what is coming. The room seemed to grow colder. Felt the hair rise on her arms. What is coming? Something old, something hungry. It has ended civilizations beyond counting. It is moving toward this region of space. How do you know this? Because something older showed me, something that survived. It gave me the knowledge of 1,000 dead species, their combat techniques, their languages, their final warnings. All of it lives in my mind. Mouth was dry. Why you? Why a human? Because humans are young, adaptable, desperate enough to use what you are given. Other species had become too comfortable, too certain, too slow. Humanity is still hungry, still growing, still capable of becoming more than you are. The tests, you knew about them. Yes. You hid your abilities. I showed what was necessary, nothing more. Why? His eyes met hers. For the first time there was something like emotion in them, something heavy and sad and old. Because I needed to understand you first, your species, your leaders, your soldiers. I needed to know if you were ready. Ready for what? To fight. A chill ran through everyone watching. You have 19 months, continued. That is how long before it arrives. I have counted every second since I learned the truth. You do not have time to be afraid. You do not have time to argue. You only have time to prepare. Sat back, her mind racing. If this is true, why haven't you told anyone? Why the silence? Why the hiding? Because the last species that discovered someone like me reacted with fear. They tried to destroy what they did not understand. They died 3 years later, having learned nothing. I could not let that happen again. And now you're telling us now. Because you are ready now. Some of you, not all, but enough. Stood, she walked to the one-way glass. She looked directly at where Admiral Park was standing, exactly where Admiral Park was standing, though she could not possibly have known. There is something approaching. You have classified intelligence about it, a deep space anomaly. You believe it is 19 months away. You are correct, but you do not understand what it is. She placed her hand on the glass. I am not a threat to this galaxy. I am a threat to the thing that is coming to end it, and I need your help. Behind the glass, Admiral Park felt something she had not felt in 20 years of military service. Hope, real hope, the kind that burns. She stepped forward and opened the door to the room. The next phase was about to begin. The news spread through the highest levels of the galactic conquered within hours. A human had appeared claiming to possess the knowledge of extinct civilizations. A human who could fight like no living being. A human who knew about the classified anomaly. Emergency sessions were called. Politicians shouted. Military leaders demanded action. Fear spread like fire. High Arbiter, the human representative to the conquered, found herself standing before the Council of Seven. These were the leaders of the founding species, beings who had guided galactic civilization for thousands of years. They were wise. They were powerful. And right now, they were afraid. This human must be destroyed, the first counselor said. Its species communicated through color changes in its skin, and right now it burned angry red. She is a contamination, unknown knowledge in an unknown vessel. We should study her, the second counselor argued. This one resembled a walking plant, its voice like rustling leaves. If she truly holds the secrets of dead civilizations, that information must be preserved. Preserved, extracted, you mean, dissected. The third counselor laughed bitterly. You want to cut her open and see what falls out. Arbiter raised her hand. May I speak? The council fell silent. Humans were new to these chambers. Their voice was tolerated, not welcomed. This human has harmed no one. She has warned us of danger. She came to our academy willingly, submitted to our tests, and revealed herself when she judged us ready to listen. These are not the actions of a threat. She hides unimaginable power, the Red Counselor responded. That alone makes her a threat. Power is not evil. How it is used determines its nature. She has used her power for nothing except to help. So far, the Plant Counselor whispered. The debate continued for hours. Finally, a vote was called. The result was clear. Was classified as a galaxy-class threat. This designation was reserved for weapons capable of destroying star systems, entities that could not be controlled or predicted. It meant she could be detained indefinitely, studied, and potentially eliminated if deemed necessary. Arbiter voted against. It did not matter. She was one voice against many. Admiral Park received the news on Station Helix 9. Her face remained calm, but her hands shook slightly as she read the order. Detain the subject. Prepare for transfer to Concord Central. Await further instructions. She had 12 hours before the transport arrived. In those 12 hours, she made a choice that would end her career. She went to. The holding cell was comfortable but secure. Sat on a simple bed, her eyes closed, breathing slowly. She opened her eyes when Park entered. They fear you, Park said. They've classified you as a galaxy-class threat. Do you know what that means? Yes. You don't seem worried. Worry changes nothing. Action changes things. Park sat down across from her. What action do you suggest? Looked at her carefully. Why are you here, Admiral? You should be preparing for my transfer. Because I believe you. I've read the intelligence reports on the anomaly. I've seen what it does to systems it passes through. Stars going dark, planets disappearing. Nothing we've sent to investigate has returned. If you know how to fight that, I need to hear it. Nodded slowly. You are braver than most. I'm desperate, there's a difference. For the first time, something like a smile touched his lips. Desperation and bravery often look the same. They feel different inside. She stood and walked to the small window. Stars glittered beyond the glass. I was born in a small village in Korea. Normal family, normal life. I remember playing in the rain, going to school, being afraid of the dark. I was completely ordinary. Park listened without interrupting. 7 years ago, I was hiking alone in the mountains. I felt something, a presence. Not a voice exactly, more like a weight pressing on my mind. It was old, impossibly old, and it was dying. Turned to face her. It had been waiting. For thousands of years, it had hidden in the spaces between dimensions, watching civilizations rise and fall, searching for someone who might be able to receive what it carried. It was the last survivor of a species the anomaly destroyed 2 million years ago. What did it do to you? It did not possess me. It did not control me. It taught me. Over 3 days that felt like centuries, it poured everything into my mind. Combat techniques from 100 species, languages from 1,000 worlds, mathematics, science, history, war. Every piece of knowledge its species had gathered across countless. How is that possible? How can a human brain hold all that? It changed me, not my body, my mind. It expanded what I could process, what I could remember, what I could understand. I am still human, but I am human in a way that did not exist before. Park absorbed this, and the anomaly, this thing that's coming. His expression darkened. The entity, the being that taught me, showed me what it was. The anomaly is not a natural phenomenon. It is alive, it is conscious, and it is hungry. It exists to consume, not just matter, not just energy. It consumes existence itself, reality, meaning. Everything a civilization creates, it absorbs and destroys. Why? What does it want? That is the horror. It wants nothing. It needs nothing. It simply is. Like a fire that burns because burning is what fire does. It has ended species beyond counting. Not because it hates them, because they were there. Park felt cold. Can it be killed? The entity's species tried. They threw everything they had against it. Weapons that cracked planets. Energy that burned stars. Nothing worked. They died screaming. Then what's the point? If nothing can stop it, why prepare? Why fight? His eyes met hers, steady, certain. Because they learned something in their final moments. They could not kill it, but they could wound it. They found a way to hurt it, to make it retreat. They recorded that knowledge and scattered it across the universe, hidden in the fabric of reality itself, waiting for someone desperate enough to find it. And you found it. The entity gave it to me. Everything its species learned, every technique, every sacrifice, every desperate final act of defiance, it all lives in my mind. I am the weapon they built too late to save themselves. The door opened. Instructor entered, his face grim. Admiral, we have a problem. The transport. Worse, the anomaly, it's changed course. Park stood quickly. What? It was heading for Concord Central. Now it's turning, coming this way, directly toward Station Helix 9. Closed her eyes. It knows I'm here. How? Park demanded. How could it possibly know? Because I used the old languages. I spoke words that carry power beyond sound. The anomaly felt them. It remembers the species that heard it. It will not let that knowledge survive. Looked between them. What does that mean for us? It means we have less time than I thought. The anomaly will arrive within days, not months. It will not negotiate. It will not warn. It will simply consume. Park's mind raced. The council ordered you detained. They want you transferred. If they take me, I cannot fight, and everyone on the station will die. If I refuse the order, my career is over. I could be court-martialed, executed. Looked at her, yes. A long moment passed. Park thought about duty. She thought about orders. She thought about the faces of every person on this station, every recruit, every instructor, every alien who had chosen to serve the ideal of cooperation. She said, "Get the human recruits. Anyone willing to fight, tell them what's coming, tell them the truth." "Admiral, are you sure?" "I'm sure of nothing, but I know one thing. When something comes to destroy everything you love, you don't hand your best weapon to people who are afraid of it. You use it." She turned to, "Can you teach others what you know? Can you share it?" Shook her head. "Not yet, the knowledge is too much. It would break ordinary minds, but after, if I survive what comes, I believe I can find a way." "Then survive, that's an order." Almost smiled again. "I do not follow orders, Admiral, but I will try." In his quarters heard the announcement, "Emergency protocols, all personnel to assigned stations." Something was coming. He made his way through crowded corridors to the holding area where rumors said was being kept. Guards tried to stop him. He pushed past them. He found her cell just as Admiral Park was leaving. He pressed against the transparent barrier. "What's happening? They're saying something is attacking the station." Looked at him, this boy who had sat with her every day, who had shared his stories, who had never given up on her even when she gave him nothing in return. "Something is coming," she said. "Something terrible. Can you stop it?" "I will try." "Then I'm staying with you. You should evacuate, get to the transport ships, survive." Shook his head. "I spent months trying to be your friend. I'm not leaving now that I finally understand why you matter." "You understand nothing." "I understand that you're going to fight, and that someone should stand beside you, even if it's just someone ordinary like me." Stared at him. In her mind 1,000 memories from 1,000 species stirred. Love, loyalty, the bonds that made people willing to die for each other. She had absorbed the knowledge of these things. She had never felt them. Until now. "If you stay," she said slowly, "you may die. Everyone dies. The question is whether we die running or fighting." Something cracked inside her. Something human that she had thought was buried beneath all the ancient knowledge. "Then stay," she whispered, "and I will try to make sure you do not regret it." The station shook. Alarms blared. Through the windows, something vast and dark was approaching. The anomaly had arrived early. The fight was about to begin. Station Helix 9 shook again. Warning lights painted everything red. Through the massive observation windows, the recruits saw something that broke their understanding of reality. The anomaly was not a ship, it was not a fleet. It was a wound in space itself, a darkness that ate light, a void that spread across the stars like ink in water. Where it touched, stars flickered and died. Where it moved, reality seemed to bend and scream. And it was hungry. Admiral Park stood in the command center, surrounded by panicking officers. Evacuation status. 60% of non-combat personnel are on transport ships, but the anomaly is blocking the main exit routes. Ships that try to run are disappearing. Weapons. We've fired everything we have. Energy beams pass through it. Missiles vanish before impact. Nothing works. Park closed her eyes. She had known this might happen. She had hoped for more time. "Get me." The holding cell had been opened. Walked through the corridors of the station beside her, instructor behind them both. Recruits and officers moved past, some screaming, some crying, some frozen with fear. Felt none of these things. Her mind was clear, focused, running through possibilities and calculations that no human brain should have been able to process. appeared from a side corridor. Her eyes were wild, but she held a weapon steady. "I was wrong about you," she said too. "No, you saw what others missed. You knew I was different. You were right to watch. Can you stop this thing?" "I do not know, but I will try." Fell into step beside them. "Then I'm helping. Tell me what to do." They reached the command center. Admiral Park turned to face them. "The anomaly is sending something through. Not ships, something else. Our sensors can barely track them." Looked at the screens. Points of darkness were separating from the main mass, moving toward the station. When she focused, she could see them clearly, more clearly than the screens could show. "They are instances," she said. "Fragments of the whole. Each one carries a piece of the anomaly's consciousness. They will board the station. They will touch things, people, and everything they touch will become part of it." "How do we fight something like that?" "Conventional weapons will slow them. Energy disrupts their form temporarily, but they cannot be killed by force. They are not truly alive. They are extensions of something beyond life." "Then what do we do?" Turned to face the window. The darkness was closer now, filling half the visible sky. "I fight it not with weapons, with knowledge." She walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" asked. "To the central hub, the heart of the station. I need to be at the center when it comes." "What are you going to do?" Looked back at him. "I am going to remind it what fear feels like." She walked alone through the empty corridors. Behind her, the station prepared for battle, organized the human recruits into defensive positions. Admiral Park coordinated with the remaining ships, took command of a squad protecting the evacuation points. Followed. "I told you to stay with the others," she said without turning. "And I told you I'm not leaving. You cannot help me in what comes next." "Maybe not, but I can be there. Sometimes that's enough." They reached the central hub, a vast dome at the heart of the station, used for ceremonies and gatherings. Empty now, silent, the stars visible through the transparent ceiling, and among them the spreading darkness of the anomaly. Stood in the center of the dome, she closed her eyes. In her mind, 1,000 voices stirred. The memories of dead species, the techniques of forgotten warriors, the languages of civilizations that had screamed into the void and been silenced. They were all inside her. They had given her everything they had, and now she would use it. The first instances breached the station hull. Alarm signals screamed. On the lower levels, fighting began. Human recruits firing weapons, slowing the dark fragments, buying time. Watch the battle through a data screen. They're holding, barely, but they're holding. Did not respond. She was focusing, reaching deep into the knowledge that had been given to her. The entity that had taught her had shown her the truth. The anomaly was ancient, but it was not invincible. The entity's species had found its weakness in their final moments. They could not kill it, but they could hurt it. They could make it feel something it had not felt in millions of years. Pain, fear, the memory of its own limits. Opened her eyes. They were different now. Light moved within them, ancient and strange. She began to speak. The words were not any language that existed on Earth. They were not any language that existed in the conquered. They were older than all of them. Words that had been spoken by the first species to ever challenge the anomaly, millions of years before humans existed. Words of defiance, words of war, words that carried meaning beyond sound. The anomaly heard her. The darkness outside the station shuddered. For the first time, it hesitated. Spoke louder. Her voice filled the dome, echoed through the station, carried on frequencies that nothing should have been able to produce. She was not just speaking. She was channeling. Every species that had ever stood against this enemy, every warrior that had died fighting it, every act of courage, every sacrifice, every refusal to surrender, all of it flowed through her. The instances attacking the station began to slow. They turned toward the central hub, drawn by her voice. "They're coming," reported. "Dozens of them, all converging on us." "Good," said. Her voice was layered now, carrying echoes of other voices other times. "Let them come." The instances poured into the dome. Dark shapes that description, wrong in ways the human eye could not process. They surrounded, reaching for her. She did not fight them with fists or weapons. She fought them with something older. The entity's species had learned that the anomaly was not truly conscious. It was vast and powerful, but it had no true mind. It acted on instinct, on hunger, on patterns established over millions of years. But deep within it, buried under eons of consumption, was a memory. The memory of the one time it had been hurt, the one species that had made it feel something. Reached into that memory, she pulled it forward, she made the anomaly remember. The instances screamed. A sound that was not sound, a frequency that shattered windows and dropped humans to their knees across the station. Fell, hands over his ears, blood dripping from his nose. Through blurred vision, he saw standing unchanged, light pouring from her eyes and mouth, speaking words that seemed to burn the air itself. The instances began to dissolve, not destroyed, repelled, forced back by something they had not felt in 2 million years. The anomaly remembered pain, and it was afraid. Outside the station, the vast darkness shuddered. It pulled back, it retreated. Not completely, not forever, but enough. His voice finally stopped. The light faded from her eyes. She fell to her knees, exhausted, diminished. Crawled to her side. "Are you okay?" She looked at him. Her face was pale, aged somehow, as if the effort had cost her years of life. "I heard it," she whispered. "It will heal, it will return, but not soon. Decades, maybe centuries." "You did it, you saved us." "I bought time, nothing more." Around them, the station was battered but standing. The instances were gone. The darkness outside was retreating, flowing back into the depths of space like a wounded animal seeking shelter. Admiral Park's voice came through the communication system. "All personnel, stand down. The threat has retreated. Begin damage assessment and rescue operations." In the hours that followed, was taken to the medical bay. The doctors found nothing physically wrong with her, but something had changed. She was slower now. Her reactions were human speed. Her movements lacked the impossible precision they had shown before. "The knowledge is still here," she told Admiral Park, touching her temple. "But the connection is damaged. I burned through something that cannot be replaced." "Can you still fight if it comes back?" "Not alone, not like before," paused. "But I can teach now. The knowledge does not flow as freely, but I can share pieces of it. Others can learn what I know." Park understood. "You wanted to create soldiers like yourself." "Not soldiers, defenders. Humanity must grow, must become more than it is. Not through machines or genetics, through knowledge, through will. The anomaly will return. When it does, one person will not be enough." "How many would be enough?" "I do not know, but I know where to start." 1 year later. A new training facility had been built. Not part of the academy, not part of the conquered. A human project funded by nations across Earth, supported by the few alien species wise enough to see the value. Admiral Park stood before a new class of recruits, 60 young humans, selected from thousands of applicants. "You know why you're here. You've heard the stories. You know what happened at Station Helix 9. You know what did." She gestured behind her, stood there quiet as always, her eyes calm. Beside her stood now an officer, leading the tactical program, instructor overseeing all training. "The anomaly is wounded. It will heal. It will return. Maybe in 50 years, maybe in 500, but it will come again." Park stepped closer to the recruits. Her voice was steady, certain. "Humanity was given a gift. One woman's silence saved us. But the next time that thing comes, it will not face one threat." She looked at each of them in turn. "It will face a species of them." The recruits stood at attention. Among them, scattered throughout the group, were a dozen individuals who stood slightly differently than the others. Their stillness was more complete. Their eyes were more focused. They had been found across Earth. Young people who showed the same quiet potential. The entity that had taught had not stopped giving gifts. It had planted seeds across humanity, waiting to see which would grow. Had found them, she had recognized them. Now she would teach them. She stepped forward to address the recruits. Her voice was soft, but it carried clearly. What I know, you can learn. What I became, you can become. It will not be easy. Many of you will fail. Some of you may die. But those who succeed will carry something beyond themselves. The memory of every species that stood against the darkness. The hope of every civilization that refused to surrender. She looked at, he smiled at her. She almost smiled back. Humanity is young. We have made many mistakes, but we have one advantage that older species lost. We have not forgotten how to be desperate. We have not forgotten how to fight for survival. She turned to face the window. Beyond the glass, stars glittered peacefully. Somewhere out there, the anomaly waited, healing, remembering. Remembering that it had been hurt. Remembering that it could feel fear. The darkness is patient, said, but so are we, and when it returns, we will be ready. She closed her eyes. In her mind, the knowledge of 1,000 civilizations waited, ready to be shared, ready to be taught, ready to become something greater than one person could ever be alone. Humanity was just getting started. The silence had been broken. Now the real work could begin.